ABC News.
With times of clouds and sunshine, with temperatures in the lower 80s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
In the year 1898, Marconi sent his first radio message across the English Channel.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Let's have a tune. I'm sick of this silence.
There's nothing wrong with being fun and popular and just giving people what they want.
This is not radio fantasy camp. We're on the air here.
You seem happy this morning. Is it Friday already? Friday.
All I'm doing is getting on the air. The revolution will be broadcast.
How about Friday?
What's this?
Did you ever hear of a thing called radio?
Thank God!
Wow! It's show time!
Live from the Robinson Auto Group studios in the heart of the Ohio Valley, this is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Let's give 'em something to talk about. Something to talk about. Let's give 'em something to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about today as the Friday edition of the morning show gets underway, and I'm glad you're here for our conversational ride. Today, America remembers the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Hard to believe 19 years ago it happened. We'll talk about it and reflect a tad about that. Wheeling Council Committee discusses homelessness and racism as the issue of homelessness rears its head a bit in the Friendly City the last couple of weeks. West Virginia's Economic Development Authority has okayed the Brooke County gas power plant. State Senator Bill Ehlenfeld with us to weigh in on that change of heart from the EDA. Newspaper editor John McCabe and I will kick around the local news of the week in our Friday roundtable, including the Brooke Power Plant, the resolution of Wheeling Hospital and lawsuit, and all the latest COVID concerns. We'll get into all of that. In the DC Digest, Trump says he did not downplay the pandemic, even though Woodward has tapes where he admits that he did. And the GOP proposed COVID relief package did not pass its initial test in the Senate yesterday. First NFL game of the season last night. Take a look back at that, including a look at how the national anthem was handled by the teams. I've got all of this and much more for you. What have you got for me? You can get into the action by using the text line 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600, Watchdog Radio Network text line. You are welcome to use the CityNet hotline when we have time, from time to time, 304-232-8255, 304-232-TALK, which is our CityNet hotline. Look for a cloudy day today, or at least more clouds than we've had over the last several days. Cloudy day coming up. Less muggy, that's the good news. Daytime high, roaming around 80 or so for a high. Rain for the weekend. Cloudy and 66 degrees right now at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. Cloudy and 66 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and cloudy and 64 at the Robinson Auto Group studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. It is 7:11 on 9/11 as we take a minute or two to think back and reflect on this day 19 years ago. Biffy, I know we've talked before. You were in school? You were in class somewhere during 9/11?
I would have been a senior at Wheeling Central, and I was taking math and an English class at Northern because you could go there and for college and take those courses.
Get some credits.
Yeah, get some credits. So we were actually walking back from Northern, I believe, from math class, because that was the, I guess, first or second class of the day, and we got back to school, and you knew something was going on because there was a commotion, and it really wasn't nothing that you had seen. So we kind of went in and heard rumblings of what was going on and everything, and just I couldn't believe it. And classes for the rest of the day. Some classes, they said, if you wanted, you could turn the TV on and, watch what was going on and follow the news. And other classes, you just went about your normal day. So I think for the rest of the day, I had about half my classes, which were, went ahead with the lesson that was planned. And then the other half, we actually watched TV coverage of what was going on and everything. But it was one of those afternoons where when I got done and got back home, immediately the first thing I did was sat at the table and turn the TV on and just tried to do homework and watch TV at the same time, and it didn't work. So whatever homework I had to finish, I shut the notebook and textbook and whatever I was doing, and just sat on the couch and watched the news the rest of that day and well into the evening. And I've always said I think 9/11 was really the event where I realized how important that news was and to watch it and everything, because, my grandparents and even my parents, they watch the news all the time, and, I'd always get on my grandfather, why are you watching the news? Turn it on a golf, if it was on or whatever,
Right,
why are you watching
exactly,
this?
yeah.
And, he said, well, it's important, and, one day you'll understand it, and 9/11 was the event that did it for me.
TV in particular, TV coverage was what brought it all literally into our homes or our schools, and it also eventually gave us, I think, a little greater sense of safety. Not quite the word. I never felt safe that whole day, but a sense of at least we knew we could count on those people. I remember Peter Jennings in particular was on ABC at the time, and he was sort of a calming voice in the midst of what the hell is happening here. I mean, what in God's name is going on here? I was doing the radio show, and my guests in the studio were, at the time, Eric Miner from Channel 9, and we were officially announcing that Channel 9's new co-anchor was going to be Karen Janiszewski. So she wasn't even on the air at Channel 9, but we were announcing this on the radio station that this is the new pairing for WTOV 9. So Eric and Karen were in the studios, and we were talking, and TV set is on in the studio, and we're having our conversation about whatever it is we're talking about. And I'm kind of keeping an eye on the TV screen because you can sort of tell something's not normal. It wasn't the normal Good Morning America. It wasn't the normal Today Show. Even just looking at it without hearing it, you could tell something wasn't quite right. And then you see the picture of the plane coming, hanging out of the building. And I remember thinking vividly thinking, oh my God, air traffic control in New York City is thoroughly messed up. That's what I thought. Air traffic control has somehow sent a wayward plane off its course, and it rammed into the World Trade Center. And that's what we thought for about half an hour, I guess. I think it was 8:46 was the first plane hit. And so maybe about 8:50 or so, I started paying attention to it. And again, just kind of keeping an eye on the TV screen. And I think Eric and Karen and I began kind of talking about it. But again, not having any real sense of what actually had happened. And then comes that scene that most of us have seen, and they played it over and over again for a while on that day, and then they stopped playing it because it was so horrific, of the second plane, watching the second plane, shoo, boom, and crash into the tower. And at that point, it ain't air traffic control. At that point, there's something wrong. And I remember Eric Miner saying, Howard, we got to go. we got to get to the TV station because there's something happening here that we're going to need to be covering. And off they went. And then what I remember so well, Biffy, was for the next hour or so, it seemed as if about every 30 minutes something was happening. Plane 1, plane 2, building 1 falls, building 2 falls. These are happening in about 30-minute increments. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, we are under attack. And it is so well organized that every 30 minutes of the day today, something horrific is going to happen like this. Now, we later learned that the falling of the buildings was put this in air quotes, please understand I'm doing air quotes, from Osama bin Laden's point of view, it was a fortunate after effect of the hitting of the towers. It was not planned. It wasn't. The intent was not for the towers to fall. It happened to do that, and so it was not planned. But for a while, I kept thinking, oh, dear Lord, every 30 minutes something horrible is going to happen. And you had to begin to wonder, I began to wonder how long will it stay in the, I'm sorry, and I forgot, of course, the plane at the Pentagon. That's right, I knew there was something else. So plane 1, plane 2, building 1, building 2, and the plane that comes and attacks the Pentagon. And then later, of course, the plane that went over Pennsylvania and that went down in the field. Every 30 minutes. Oh my God. Oh my God. And you try to do a radio show from Wheeling, West Virginia, with all of this happening on the national scene, and I was using our national network a bit, sort of mixing it in and out as much as I could. But yeah, what can you do? What can you say? I mean, it was just unbelievable. And I remember I got done at 10 o'clock, as I do now. I got done at 10 o'clock, so I ended my show. And at the time, coming on the air after me was Tony Kornheiser, who was on ESPN radio at the time. And the Tony Kornheiser show came on. And Tony was broadcasting from, I remember this so well too, Biffy. Tony was broadcasting from Planet Hollywood or Hard Rock Cafe or one of those venues where he's doing a live broadcast from Washington, D.C. And so Tony comes on, and of course, with shock in his voice, says, "Oh my God, it's been a terrible morning, blah, blah, blah." And he gets about 1 minute into it, and he goes, "Excuse me, they are telling us a plane is on its way here, and we have to leave. And so I shall," he says. Psst, and things just go silent. That was it. They told us we have to leave, and so I shall. And that was that. What a day. It wasn't until somewhere in the middle of the day that I began to realize that the horrible stuff had all happened in the morning, and it wasn't going to keep on going. It's also hard to believe, Biff, 19 years ago this morning.
Yeah, and it was, it's one of those days where you remember everything just so vividly from, at least I do, from the time I woke up that day to everything that happened. And, you watch TV and you just, like you said, you couldn't believe what was going on. It was almost one of those deals where you're thinking, man, it's a bad dream. Like you're going to wake up and everything's going to be, okay. And I just couldn't believe, what was happening and everything. But it's one of those days, even 19 years later, I still remember everything from the time I got up to the time I went to bed to what the weather was like, and just anything that I can remember.
The weather, by the way, was a real important factor in how we remember that day, simply because in New York City that morning, Biffy, bright blue skies and sunshine, perfect morning. As those planes came zipping through the sky into the World Trade Center, they did so against the backdrop of an azure blue sky. I don't think there were any clouds out there at all. And it was a beautiful morning. And then these horrific things happened. The planes hit the Twin Towers. The Twin Towers fall. Pentagon was attacked. The passengers forced the terrorists to crash Flight 93 into that empty field in Pennsylvania. Let's roll, as they decided to kill themselves to save that plane from getting back into the nation's capital. Here's just a little kind of montage for us to remember that day and honor the victims of 9/11 19 years later.
On September 11th, 2001,
Planes crashed into Upper floor of the World Trade Center.
our very freedom came under attack.
They were trying to recoup. We lost all units here at this area.
Today, we pause to remember a day that tested our country.
Tower 2 has had a major explosion and what appears to be a complete collapse. There's no possible way to begin to describe it.
Nearly 3,000 lives were lost in the deadliest attack on American soil in our history.
This is a moment to pause and reflect, to heal, and to rededicate ourselves to the American spirit. May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Of one nation indivisible.
As I said, the first plane that hit the building was, if you happen to be watching, if you were a morning TV watcher, if you watched the Today Show or Good Morning America or what have you, you saw it, or at least you saw a report of it. They would say, "Oh, something has happened in downtown Manhattan. Let's go look and see." And that. But it was the second plane that was the real the real shocker, because that we saw live. Good Morning America had Charlie Gibson and Diane Sawyer on, and they were still wondering what had caused the smoke that they saw coming out of the First World Trade Center. There's smoke billowing out of the Trade Center. What in the world happened there? There's a camera sort of showing a shot of that from a long distance, but they don't quite know what's going on yet. So Charlie Gibson and Diane Sawyer are still wondering what caused this to happen when the second plane hit the tower live.
It appears that there is more and more fire and smoke enveloping the very top of the building. And as fire crews are descending on this area, it does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
I didn't yet see a plane go in. That just exploded.
I just saw another plane coming in from the side.
You did. That was out of
yes, and that's the second explosion. You can see the plane come in just from the right-hand side of the screen. So this looks like it is some sort of a concerted effort to attack the World Trade Center that is underway.
Did you get a chill right then, Biff, when you heard that? Because I just got a chill again.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah, I did too.
You know. Oh my God! Oh my God! Well, whoever would have expected that to be the next thing you saw? Again, first of all, none of us had processed yet what happened with that first plane. As I said, I kind of thought maybe air traffic control had misdirected people. Some folks, as you heard Charlie Gibson and Diane Sawyer there, they didn't even know what had happened yet, because all they saw was, they got a picture of the Trade Center. They got smoke billowing up from something has happened over there. We got to figure out what's happened. We got a guy on the ground. We're trying to get more information. So they don't even know what happened and then all of a sudden, shoo. And of course that was live. And by that time, a lot of people had tuned into their TV to see what was going on. And most of us got to see that live. And of course, they replayed that plane hitting the Trade Center, the second plane, over and over and over again, to the point that eventually the TV networks decided not to show it anymore on that day. They did it for several hours, but they finally said, you know what, let's not do this. This is not a good thing for people to be watching over and over and over again. But just listening to that tiny clip from that day, just now, I mean, I got a chill as Diane Sawyer and Charlie Gibson are going, oh my God, oh my God. And here we are 19 years after. Now, there's always an anniversary celebration and commemoration, maybe is the right word to use, not celebration, memorial, if you will, at the Trade Center site every year. This year, things are a little bit different, though. Traditionally, every year they read a listing of the victims of the World Trade Center attacks. This year, the reading is going to go on, but it's going to be recorded, not live, because of COVID. They're doing away with the big stage where all the family members gather and read these names and so on. The tribute in light that they do every year in memory of the fallen Twin Towers turned out not to be able to be done this year as well, mainly because they can't set it up. It requires a large crew to maintain and set up, so plans were made to do away without them to avoid increasing the risk of spreading the coronavirus. Lower Manhattan hosting a bit of a hybrid ceremony this year, one at the September 11th Memorial Plaza, the other on a nearby corner. These two parallel events reflect the divide over how should we mark the somber anniversary in the midst of a pandemic. Joe Biden will be at Memorial Plaza observance, and Vice President Mike Pence expected to go to both of the observances today. President Trump and Joe Biden will both appear at the Flight 93 National Memorial near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, which is not far from us. I know a number of folks who have been up to that site. In fact, I think our friends from Uniglobe Travel had taken a bus group up there at one point to see the Shanksville Memorial that's put up. So that's what politicians are doing, and that's, it's a modified memorial that is going on today.
But
they're always, and here in the I'm sorry, go ahead, Biffy.
No, I was going to say, isn't Shanksville kind of close to Johnstown?
I guess I don't. I get it's up in that area. Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to, if you're not familiar with Shanksville and you kind of wanted a town that people might, can associate with it, I think Johnstown's nearby there.
Yeah. And they've got they have designed a memorial there. I remember correctly. I have not been there. I think it's one of those things where you can go and they have little spoken tributes that you can listen to, and you can see the site where the plane hit the ground and so on. Again, it's the plane where, for a long time, I remember the guy's name. I can't remember his name now, but they had the people on that plane knew what was happening. The plane, and of course, it went literally right over our heads. That Flight 93 went over our heads, literally over our heads. Turned around, was heading back towards Washington D.C., believing it probably was going to go to the Capitol next. It hit the World Trade Center, the Pentagon. The Capitol was believed to be the target of that plane if it had gotten where it was going. The folks on board Flight 93 knew that they were on a suicide plane, no matter what was going to happen, that the ultimate plan was to kill more people at the Capitol and make an even greater impression on our nation's psyche. And so they decided to take the plane down themselves. And the infamous phrase that the leader of that group said, he organized them all on that plane and said, we're going to have to get in that cockpit. We have to take this plane down, knowing it's going to kill him. And then he said, let's roll. Let's roll. And up they went, and out down the aisle they went, and literally crashed the plane and themselves into the ground to save the Capitol. To save the Capitol. We have a community-wide service of remembrance set today here in the Upper Ohio Valley. It'll be at noon at the Heritage Port, the Firefighter Memorial specifically. It's hosted by Temple Shalom and members of the faith community around the Upper Ohio Valley, gathering at the Firefighter Memorial on the waterfront at noon today to remember as a community and as a faith community in particular the events that occurred on 9/11, because it certainly is one of the darkest days of American history. On the other hand, it is a day when we really and truly learned what the word hero meant. Firefighters and police and first responders who didn't run away from the fire but ran into the fire, who didn't run away from the crumbling buildings but ran into the crumbling buildings, who didn't scurry to get out of the way but ran to get in the way to hopefully save people. And we should always remember and pay tribute to those that were the heroes of September 11th.
Officer John Perry of the 40th Precinct in the Bronx
Till I found my heroes welcome waiting.
Your father is a hero and a patriot.
Hats off to the heroes, those who run into the fire. It is 7:35, 25 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. We'll shift gears, get a little weather in here, got some sports to talk about. Last night's NFL game, the national anthem, how did that play out at the first NFL game of the season? Also, Donald Trump says, I did not say that I would downplay the coronavirus story, even though it's on tape saying he did. We'll get to that in our DC Digest. And we've spent a lot of time the last couple of weeks, including just 2 days ago, talking about how West Virginia's Economic Development Authority is not moving ahead on the Brooke County power plant. And then yesterday they did. We'll talk to Senator Ehlenfeld about that. So I got a lot to do this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show as we also continue to commemorate the 19th anniversary of September 11th. Glad you are with us here this morning. I'm Howard Monroe. Brother Biff is behind the glass, pulling the buttons and making sure the trains run as close to time as he can force me to make them. Let's check some news for you right now.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for your local news headlines from 7 News at WTRF, My Ohio Valley, and ABC.
Yeah, after I heard that guy, I heard him say that, and then I remember. Todd was in my mind. I knew it was Todd, but I couldn't think of the last name. Yep. Let's roll. Takes an awful strong amount of courage to do what they did.
Oh, man.
One.
Service. We're working hard to get ready for tax filing season. You know who else is working hard? Identity thieves. Keep your computers and your mobile phones secure. Use antivirus software and strong passwords. Look out for email scams. Secure your home Wi-Fi with a password. Stay safe when you shop online. Look for HTTPS in the web address. See irs.gov for details.
Over 2.5 million Americans suffer from opioid use disorder.
Treatment is not one size fits all. Medication-assisted treatment, also known as MAT, is the use of FDA-approved medication in combination with counseling. Remember, different treatments work for different individuals. The goal, no matter what the treatment is the same: help and continued growth and recovery. Go to helpandhopewv.org for more information.
Well, the National Football League officially got underway Thursday night in Kansas City as the defending Super Bowl champions defeated the Houston Texans 34-20. Leading the way for the Chiefs, their star quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, he threw for 3 TDs. The Chiefs have won 10 games in a row. That's counting last year's 2 playoff wins and a Super Bowl victory. 15,000 plus watched the Chiefs win the first game and the regular season opener in the National Football League. Well, following an off day, the Pittsburgh Pirates are back in action. They're in Kansas City. And this game will feature 2 struggling teams. The Pirates are 14-27. The KC Royals 17-28. Stephen Brault, 0-2, will start for Pittsburgh. College football Saturday. The West Virginia Mountaineers will be in action, and the Mountaineers will host Eastern Kentucky. Stanley Cup playoffs, Western Conference Finals, Dallas 3, Vegas Golden Knights 2 in overtime. Dallas leads at best of 7, 2-1. One NBA playoff game played, LA Lakers 110, the Houston Rockets 100. Lakers lead at best of 7, 3-1. Hey, be safe, thoughtful, and considerate of others. Please check on the elderly. I'm Bill DeFabio on AM 1600, and we are the Watchdog.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local, just the way you like it.
It's your turn to talk. From politics to pet peeves, get it off your chest and on the air. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
You know, it is interesting how we span the generations here on the Watchdog Morning Show, Biff, as we look back on the anniversary of 9/11 19 years ago. I was in the middle of the radio show doing my thing. You were just preparing to graduate high school. You were a senior in high school. And our morning weather guy, Zach, was probably going goo goo da da.
I think I was 4 years old, Howard.
So your memories of 9/11 really are totally from what you've seen in the last 19 years worth of, retrospective coverage, because I'm sure you have no real memories of the day itself.
No, I don't really remember too much. Again, I was 4 years old at the time, so nothing really, I don't really remember much of anything at all. So yeah, it's all been updated and watched and kind of just taking it for granted where we are now, and obviously very sad and unfortunate. And of course, you got to remember and thank all the first responders and all those who were unfortunately taken from the tragic attacks that day.
And Biff, it's just a reminder of how long ago it's been. Yes, it's 19 years. We can say those numbers, but here's Zach, who doesn't even remember, because he was just, as I said, he was just saying goo goo da da at the time. A large generation of Americans have grown up not. Yeah, we tend to think of that as the defining moment for many Americans, and for most Americans it was, but there are plenty of Americans who were, it's now passed them by. It's like probably for you, Biffy, for me, the assassination of John Kennedy back in '63 was something that will always be remembered in my mind, but not for you, Biff.
No, I mean,
that's
9/11 was it again. I mean, I can remember everything I did from beginning of the day to the end of the day, like it happened yesterday.
The other thing I'm thinking about, I don't want to get too philosophical or political here, but thinking about Zach, who doesn't even remember 9/11 because he was just a little one. Zach has never lived in a world, or other than the first couple of years of his life, never lived in a world where America was not at war with Afghanistan. Think about that.
Yeah, it's 19 years.
We began our war with Afghanistan in Afghanistan shortly after 9/11 in retaliation for the attacks, and properly so, by the way. I think we were terrible. We made a horrible, just terrible mistake in going into Iraq. But going into Afghanistan was absolutely correct. That's where the locus of the terrorists were. And we started the war in Afghanistan. And we have, and again, someone like Zach has grown up with, there's never been a time when we have not been at war with Afghanistan. Think about that.
Thanks for making me old. Howard, you're making me feel old. Jeez.
Think about how, I mean, and it's still going on. It's just absolutely amazing when you stop to think about, some of those kind of things. I mean, we talked in the last segment, Biffy, about all the very positive things about 9/11 to the extent that the event was horrific, but there were the first responders who became so important to us at the time, and who did so many heroic things. And there were a lot of very positive aftermath of it, if you will. But there are also a lot of the world changed dramatically after that. Well, and look how it really, brought us together as a country. I mean, you didn't. But can I put a caveat in there? Yes, it absolutely did. We were more patriotic. We flew the American flag more frequently. We recognized how important it was to be an American. But at the same time, I'm sorry, I'm going to get a little political here. At the same time, we turned on anybody who looked or sounded like they might be Arab or Muslim. Whether or not they had anything to do with 9/11, whether their country had anything to do with 9/11, we became a very, and we still are, a very, I'm trying to think what word I want to use, not discriminatory, but a, we have critical. Very critical. We're stereotyping a certain group of people and have particularly since those days. So yeah, Biffy, you're absolutely correct. I mean, we really all came together. We really came together as Americans. We became a stronger body of patriots, if you will. But there were some negative parts about it as well. And if you were Muslim at the time, or even Arab looking, or had an Arab sounding name, look out, because you were likely to face some pretty severe discrimination. So it wasn't all good. Well, let's talk about the weather. Let's shift gears and talk about the weather. That's what Zach is here to help us talk about. A little cloudier this morning than it has been the last several days. Zach, as I look out the window here.
Yep. So it's definitely the clouds are going to be present throughout the Ohio Valley skies till about the lunchtime hour, and that's when I'm expecting clouds to break some, so there will be multiple layers of clouds throughout the Ohio Valley skies, filtering in some sunlight. And as Biff and I were talking about earlier on, before I was put on hold, it looks like it's going to be some pretty nice-looking football weather. Comfortable temperatures into the low to mid-70s tonight, right around kickoff. Cool weather expected into the overnight, but it looks like we're going to be needing the umbrellas this weekend.
Well, bring out the umbrella. We've had a couple of just really beautiful days, so I guess we can live with a umbrella day or two. It's not going to be it's going to be fairly pleasant as far as the temperatures and stuff go, though, right?
Yeah. Temperature-wise, we're going to be hovering into the low 80s, upper 70s. We're going to start to trend closer to average. Average highs this time of year is right around 77 degrees. And we'll need the umbrellas, or the brellies, as you call them, mostly Saturday afternoon. It looks like there's going to be isolated showers through your afternoon and evening, but I am expecting to see widespread rain showers throughout the entire region on Sunday. So definitely need the brellies on Sunday. But as we head into the next work week, I never want to wish away the weekend, because that's the time for relaxation, to catch up on work, cleaning on the apartment and what kind of stuff, cleaning the house, and just doing things to take care of yourself. But I am looking forward to the next work week. It is looking absolutely beautiful. Mostly sunny skies. There could be, again, partly cloudy skies sprinkled throughout the region, but we're going to get closer to those seasonable temperatures, with both the high and the low getting closer to average, feeling like it would be for the third week of September.
So we'll get through the weekend and get back into another really nice week. And this week, I mean, it's not going to be a terrible weekend. It's just going to be rainy, right?
Yeah, the first half of Saturday looks okay. It's just going to be a little gray, mostly cloudy skies, overcast skies expected. We'll need the umbrellas Saturday afternoon, but it's not going to be too terrible. No, not too bad of a weekend, I guess.
So I always ask you this on Friday, what are your plans for the weekend? You can stick around here, going somewhere, going back home, bringing your girlfriend in? What are you going to do?
And she's actually taken an exam for her actuarial science degree today. She has a pretty big exam that she's been studying for, so she's taken that, I think, within the next few hours. So she's going to probably decompress at home for that, so she won't be coming up. I'll probably just stay around, again, go grocery shopping, go get the suits dry cleaned, clean up the apartment, and just try to enjoy some relaxation time, catch up on some sports, because I go to bed so early, so I can never watch. I'm a big hockey guy, so I haven't been able to watch much of hockey. I know football was back yesterday, wasn't able to watch most of that, so sometimes I've been having the scores updating or the little videos on different sport websites telling you, hey, this is what happened, or showing the highlights while I'm here forecasting, just because you miss the sports, especially whenever you're on a morning shift.
Yeah, and you may not have to, I mean, you have to get to bed before the games are probably even started, or certainly before the games are done, so.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yep. All right, well, have yourself a great weekend, Zach. Just relax and take it easy. Watch some sports. Clean your suits.
Yep,
I always want to see a good clean suit. I want to see a good clean suit on Monday morning.
Hopefully so. Maybe we'll be able to break out some cool socks if I have the courage to show those. Maybe we'll try to flash one of those next week.
I'm telling you, I love that sock idea. The tie's great. Let's take it one step further. There's ties and socks. You'll be the tie and sock guy, Zach.
Hey, that'll be the talk of the
have yourself a great week. And that's what you want to be, is the in a good way. You want to be the talk of the town.
Yep.
Sometimes I've been the talk of the town in not so good a way. You don't want that, but you want to be in a good way. Have yourself a great weekend, my friend. We'll talk to you on Monday. Thanks a lot.
You too. We'll see you guys.
All right. Zach Petty from the Big Seven. I just couldn't help but reflect, though, Biffy, on, given that he's just a young pup. Again, I was in the, height of my career on 9/11. You were just graduating high school on 9/11, and I said he was saying "goo goo da da" on 9/11. Doesn't really even have any memories of it, other than what he has learned over these 19 years. And again, I can't help but think about that. America has never been not at war with Afghanistan for virtually Zach Petty's entire life, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
Well, as Zach said, last night was the first NFL game of the season. Did you watch any of it at all, Biffy? I intended to watch it just to see how it went, and I didn't get a chance to do that. Did you watch any of it?
A little bit of it. I mean, not a whole lot, but it was it was kind of interesting because you looked at the crowd, and it almost it looked like one of those games where it's a blowout and a lot of people leave, and they show the crowd, and the commentators make the comment, hey, these are the brave ones, or not brave ones, the ones that stuck around, the diehard
fans that stick around,
to stick around to see the end of the game. That's what it looked like last night in Kansas City.
I think I saw the number somewhere, 17,000 fans, which was just a minuscule amount of the total stadium, and of course that's all because of the social distancing and so on. But at least there were some fans there in the stand, which at least gave them, something. I guess what was interesting was the way they handled the national anthem as well. Now, first of all, in case you're curious, the Chiefs won 34-20, I think, right?
Yeah, Kansas City won.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things was how did they handle the national anthem? Now, they played two songs last night. They did the Star Spangled Banner, and in fact, here's a little bit of the Star Spangled Banner from last night. Pretty good rendition. Do not feel a need to stand if you're driving.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last
Now, I'm going to fade this out. Don't anyone yell at me and say I'm showing disrespect to the Star Spangled Banner. I just wanted to sort of set the stage a little bit with a bit of that. But I thought it was a really good rendition. They did a really, really good rendition. So before they did the national anthem, though, before they did the Star Spangled Banner, Alicia Keys performed Lift Every Voice and Sing. Now, this is, we've talked about this before on the show, this is what some people call the Black National Anthem. So she performed Lift Every Voice and Sing, the Black National Anthem, and then it was followed by the Star Spangled Banner. Apparently, the Texans left the field for both. They came out on the field, and then when the Black National Anthem was played, they went back inside, and they came back outside, and then when the Star Spangled Banner was played, they left there as well. Spokesperson for the Texans say that they didn't want to show favoritism for one song over another, so they chose simply not to be in the stadium at all while the songs were played. But before kickoff, both teams met in the middle of the field for a moment of unity. I think I saw somewhere they were wearing T-shirts paying tribute to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, two of the folks who were killed. And then they interspersed live shots of the teams during the song. So it was just a kind of an interesting approach they took, Biffy, to the Star Spangled Banner and to the Black National Anthem last night. Yeah, they, like you said, they came out before. Both teams locked arms, and then I guess after that, the Chiefs stayed on the field for the anthem, and the Texans went back in the locker room. And from what I could tell, when they were going, like you said, they would show the anthem and then show live at Kansas City. I think everybody for the Chiefs stood, but at least one player that I could see was kneeling, and everybody else, stood there. The Chiefs had their arms locked with each other on the sideline, and I think a couple of players, they put their hand on the guy's shoulder pads that was kneeling, and that was it. And then finally we had kickoff, but they showed, I guess, during pregame. It was funny. Patrick Mahomes, he's the quarterback for Kansas City. He was sitting on the bench, and all of a sudden, Deshaun Watson, who's the quarterback for the Texans, he just comes over and sits down next to him, and they're laughing and talking to each other, like, just having a good old time before the kickoff. But now after all the festivities and everything beforehand, we had football, and it was great. Well, one way or the other, football is back here in America, and the NFL game last night. Do we have a full slate this weekend, Biff? I don't know what the schedule is like. Full slate of games this weekend, or a bunch of games? Yeah, they'll get underway Sunday, and they'll have the Sunday night football and Monday night football. I mean, week one of the NFL season is here. The official beginning is underway. We will talk about what we're going to offer for you this weekend with sports coming up after we check into the newsroom from ABC. So stick around. We'll have some conversation about that. State Senator Bill Ehlenfeld joining us next hour to talk about the Brooke County Power Plant, the gas-fired plant that we thought wasn't going to happen, but apparently is. We'll get into that and more. Here on the Watchdog Morning Show, 9/11 Anniversary Edition.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
It was 19 years ago. All right, Biffy. Pretty good hour one. Yeah, that worked out fairly well. It's hard to think about it. I mean, that was Zach's little kid to us, but still, geez, hard to imagine. And he's representative of a whole generation that doesn't remember 9/11. They don't remember 9/11. Right, exactly. Yep, it's just, and there he is, our official weatherman who was 4 years old at the time. Wow, just wow. All right, I'm going to make some more coffee. I'll be back in a minute. All right.